Yeah. Why you calling at 11:30 when you only wanna do me dirty? But I hit right back 'cause you got that, yeah. Why you always wanna act like lovers, but you never wanna be each other's? I say don't look back, but I go back in.
Light Switch by Charlie Puth. Puth. I think that's how you say his last name. I don't know. Charles is a very synth pop 80s style kind of song. It relies heavily on a heavy bass riff. You'll need a 5-string bass since you're playing an E flat minor, and the bass frequencies that Charles is using move smoothly within the 5 strings, kind of lowest range. That B string is used quite a lot. You can downtune a 4-string bass, but that's your problem, not mine. The riff, or rather the bass line, is a repeated 8-bar phrase with a few stops here and there. All the stops are written in the transcription on my website, which is for free, so you can follow along and practice that way. But I mean, it's just good to just listen to the song and get familiar so that you can be one step ahead. It's a pop song. You're probably going to hear it a million times anyway. There are also 2 bars that fill in. There's one in the second verse and one before the last bang of choruses. I'll play them for you.
Stay mad when you walk like that, no. Why you always wanna act like a lover? You turn me on like a light switch when you're moving your body round and around.
Now, this second fill, I just kind of made it up to match the drum fill that happens. You don't have to play it, but it's a bit of fun. I just realized I'm being so serious when I talk. I'm not really that serious. It makes me think my students must be so scared of me. In terms of accenting, like staccato notes or rather dead notes, there are a fair few, and I'd keep them in mind because it does help you sit in really well and groove really nicely. I've written them as staccato quavers followed by an accented quaver, but you can think of that first staccato note as kind of like a dead note. The way I play these muted or dead notes is not by pushing my finger down, but rather just letting it lay on there. Like that kind of thing. It makes a nice kind of thud sound, similar to like a kick drum. For the quavers where there is a 7th leading into the root note, I just put more of an emphasis on the second note. I try to do this by playing the first quaver softly rather than playing the second note louder, because you shouldn't be overstraining your fingers. You know, it's an electric bass, you have a pickup, you have an amp that's meant to do the work for you in that regard. It's better to have more control in your fingers. In terms of muting, this is definitely important to keep in mind. You should be trying to keep muting in mind for almost for any funk pop song. Just make sure your fingers are kind of loosely on the strings as you're playing so that you don't hear any ringing after you play. Because the tune is quite fast, you're probably not going to hear much of it, but it's still important to keep in mind, because by making sure that these fingers are loose, you're always relaxed. You know, when you're playing it slowly, because you're practicing it first and you're playing it slowly before you play it up to tempo, and you hear that ringing, just make sure to just relax your fingers over the strings, and then that'll remind you later to kind of relax, so you're not tensing these fingers, and then you can play super fast. Also important to think ahead, what note is coming next. There's nothing worse than lagging. You know, you're the bass player, you're meant to be in time. It's just a repeated 8-bar phrase. You should be able to memorize it. So just always make sure to practice in a way that gets your fingers to the next note faster. So for instance, when I'm playing the descending line, I'm always making sure my second finger is super ready to play that E flat. You know, and then you can move because you know what's happening. You know what's going on. Same thing for when you need to get to A flat and you're playing that here. You want to make sure it's quick, and you play that with your second finger. I try to play with my second finger because the descending line is in this, like that. And then you're ready to play that E flat with your second finger. Experimenting with fills is a good idea. I try to keep mine till the last bar, like so. I also try to minimize the amount of fills I do because I'm not a wanker sometimes. But it's also just like the bass line is very groovy kind of thing. Pick your moments well so then you're not overdoing it. That's just my personal taste, I think. Judging by what other musicians tell me, they prefer less. Less is always more. If you wanted to know the music theory behind it, this is how I interpret it. The piece is in E flat minor, and we move from E flat minor to the relative major of E flat minor, G flat major. And then we move to the 5 chord of G flat major, which is D flat. And then it moves back to the 5th chord of E flat minor, A flat minor. It's actually a pretty neat progression. That's all from me. Sorry for blabbing on so much. Be sure to check out the transcription on my website. It's available for free. Check this video a like if you liked it and you want to see more. Thanks for watching. Jeez.